Hello and welcome back to the Pelvic Empowerment IBS series. My name is Tori and I am a doctor of physical therapy who specializes in pelvic dysfunction, which means I treat things that can go wrong around the pelvis, and this includes bowel dysfunction. Back in May of 2019, I decided to try and unpack what I have learned about IBS in a video series. And today I would like to add a sixth installment to that series that builds on all of the information from the previous 5 videos to outline potential dietary guidelines that, in theory, could help IBS symptom management. Now, that means that this video assumes that you have seen the previous 5 videos in this series. If you haven't, I highly encourage you to watch them so that you can get the most out of this video. The last thing I want to say before outlining what to expect in this video is that diet can feel very personal. Changing your diet, having to eliminate certain foods, and having to be aware of diet constantly can be met with a lot of strong internal resistance. I will arm you with as much evidence and knowledge on this topic that I can, but the choice to try, the decision to commit to trialing these guidelines and using the information that you gain from that trial to better serve you and your unique and individual bowels is yours and yours alone. Remember, nothing works for everybody, but everything works for somebody. With that being said, we will begin by naming the diet's main goals, which will define its guidelines. We'll then discuss what foods and beverages should be avoided and included in accordance with those guidelines. And we'll end by discussing specifically how to eat and drink in accordance with those guidelines. As always, you can check below for timestamps, studies, and links to all of the previous videos in this series, as well as written summaries of each section of today's videos and food lists. Fat, insoluble, and soluble fiber food lists. Now, let's begin by naming this diet's 2 overall goals that can be gleaned from all of the information that we discussed in the previous videos that will define this diet's guidelines. 1. If IBS is caused by brain-gut axis dysfunction and the gastrocolic reflex is one brain-gut connection that could be dysfunctional and causing IBS symptoms, then we want to keep the gastrocolic reflex as happy and stable as possible. 2. If some of the more debilitating and painful IBS symptomology is caused by intestinal muscle dysfunction, then we want to keep the intestinal muscles as happy and stable as possible. That's it. Those 2 goals define all of this diet's guidelines. A happy and stable gastrocolic reflex and happy and stable intestinal muscles. With the goals clearly defined, let's now move into what not to eat and what not to drink. Recall from the second installation in this series that fat is the most powerful gastrocolic reflex stimulant of all the macronutrients. Also, recall that while it may be tempting to just totally eliminate fat from your diet in order to soothe the gastrocolic reflex, that fat is a very important nutrient for your overall body's function. It would be a poor health choice to eat a totally fat-free diet. Instead, remember that there are 3 different kinds of fat: saturated, trans, and unsaturated fat. And while your gastrocolic reflex cannot tell the difference between those 3, the rest of your body certainly can. Which means if you are going to be limiting your fat intake in order to help make sure that your gastrocolic reflex is as happy and stable as possible, you need to make sure that the fats that you are eating are worth your while. In the second video in this series, we concluded that that means eating a low-fat diet, as in a diet where 20 to 30% of your calories are coming from fat, that limits or completely avoids fats that are high in saturated and trans fat. Said another way, a low-fat diet where the fats are coming from unsaturated fat sources. That means limiting, or in my opinion, completely avoiding red meat, dark chicken meat and chicken skin, eggs, dairy, and fried foods. Certain drinks are also powerful gastrocolic reflex stimulants. Caffeine, alcohol, coffee, including decaf, and soda are all beverages that would likely be best to limit or completely avoid. The final beverage to limit or completely avoid is anything ice cold. The reasoning here isn't that a cold beverage powerfully stimulates the gastrocolic reflex, but instead that a cold beverage could cause the intestinal muscles to contract. This is true of any super cold drink or food for that matter. Remember, our goals in this diet are to keep not only the gastrocolic reflex, but also the intestinal muscles as happy and stable as possible. To best understand this, think about other muscles in your body and how they react to warmth versus cold. Warmth typically causes muscles to relax. It can be very soothing, whereas cold typically causes muscles to contract. Think about sweating on a beach versus standing outside during a snowstorm. The same can be said for your intestinal muscles. So, limiting or completely avoiding ice-cold drinks and sticking with beverages that are room temperature or warmer could help the intestinal muscles stay happy and stable. So, to summarize, step 1 in keeping the gastrocolic reflex and the intestinal muscles as happy and stable as possible is maintaining a low-fat diet that avoids, or again, in my opinion, completely eliminates red meat, dark chicken meat and chicken skin, dairy, eggs, and fried foods, as well as caffeine, alcohol, coffee, all coffee including decaf, soda, and anything ice cold. Before we move into what to eat and drink, I want to address food intolerances and food sensitivities because I believe that they fall into this what not to eat and drink category. In the 4th installation of this video series, we discussed lactose and gluten intolerance in great detail. If you're following these dietary guidelines, then lactose intolerance isn't really a worry because you are not consuming dairy products at all. Gluten intolerance, on the other hand, still is. As I said in that 4th video, it is so easy to get lost in the complexity of food and gut health. Remember that according to this 2015 literature review, current evidence suggests that symptoms of IBS improve with the gluten-free diet in about half of the patients tested. So if you truly have IBS, there's about a 50% chance that a gluten-free diet will help you manage your symptoms. If you have true gluten intolerance, then technically a gluten-free diet should eliminate all of your symptoms. Either way, you could try eliminating gluten from your diet on top of the other guidelines that we discuss in this video for a 6 to 8 week period. Track your symptoms, reintroduce gluten around that 6 to 8 week mark, and make a decision on how to proceed based on how you feel. That same test can also be run with any potential food sensitivities, as we discussed in the 3rd installment in this series. If there is a food or beverage on the elimination list that you really want to include in your diet, or maybe a different food that you think that you might be sensitive to, eliminate it for 6 to 8 weeks on top of the other dietary guidelines, track your symptoms, reintroduce it after that 6 to 8 week mark, and decide how to proceed based on how you feel. All right. Now that we have discussed what food and drinks to avoid or completely eliminate, let's discuss what food and drinks will help keep the gastrocolic reflex and the intestinal muscles happy and stable. What foods and drinks should you be eating? We've already reviewed fats, and we've decided that a low-fat diet where fats come from unsaturated fat sources is best for a happy and stable gastrocolic reflex. That means that the fats that come from plant foods, think avocados, nuts, seeds, and vegetable oils, as well as the fats that come from fish and white meat, are what should make up that low low-fat diet. All of the remaining plant foods, veggies, grains, legumes, and fruits, will make up the remainder of the diet because, as we discussed in the 5th installation in this series, they are either high in soluble fiber, which will make the intestinal muscles very happy and stable and should normalize both diarrhea and constipation, or they are high in insoluble fiber. And while insoluble fiber does stimulate the gastrocolic reflex, it is also found in some of the healthiest, most nutrient-dense foods in the world. Lastly, without caffeine, alcohol, all coffees, soda, and cold beverages, we are left with water and caffeine-free herbal teas. What's more, peppermint, ginger, fennel, and chamomile can all have soothing effects on the intestinal muscles, which could in turn help to soothe certain IBS symptoms for some people. So, in summary, this diet will consist of white meat, fish, plant foods such as veggies, fruits, legumes, grains, nuts, and seeds, as well as water and caffeine-free herbal teas. Now that we've reviewed what not to eat and drink, what to eat and drink, we can finally discuss how to eat and drink. Again, the goals of this diet are a happy and stable gastrocolic reflex and happy and stable intestinal muscles. Those goals can be achieved by following 3 rules. 1, lead with soluble fiber. If your stomach is empty, if you are having a midday snack, if you are starting a meal, eat soluble fiber first. 2, never eat known gastrocolic reflex stimulants like insoluble fibers and fats alone. Always pair them with soluble fiber, with equal or better yet bigger portions of soluble fiber. For example, if you want to eat fish, which is a fat, you would want to pair that fish with an equal or bigger serving of rice or squash or potatoes or whatever soluble fiber you want, and you would want to eat at least some of that soluble fiber first before you start eating the fish. And finally, rule number 3, you want to eat small portions of food, like 6 small meals, for example, throughout the day, and you want to eat them slowly, as opposed to eating 3 large meals and eating those meals quickly. The same is true of drinking. Whatever you are drinking, drink it slowly. Do not chug it. Why? Recall that as a result of the gastrocolic reflex, the colon has increased motility in response to the stretch of the stomach with the ingestion of food. Said another way, the gastrocolic reflex is directly related to the stretch of your stomach. That means that the more your stomach stretches, the more intense the gastrocolic reflex will be. The bigger your meal, the more your stomach stretches, the more intense gastrocolic reflex you have. The quicker you eat your meal, the faster your stomach stretches, the more intense of a gastrocolic reflex you have. So again, small portions sprinkled throughout the day and eating and drinking slowly. That's it. Given the evidence of a dysfunctional gastrocolic reflex and unstable intestinal muscles contributing potentially to IBS symptoms, this diet with its guidelines should, in theory, manage those symptoms because it focuses on stabilizing the gastrocolic reflex and optimizing intestinal muscle function. It is a low-fat diet where 20 to 30% of your calories come from unsaturated fats, aka fish, white meat, and plant food fats. It eliminates beverages that irritate your gut. That means that you are drinking water and caffeine-free herbal teas. You always lead with soluble fiber. You always pair insoluble fiber and fat foods with soluble fiber foods of equal or greater portions. You eat small meals throughout the day and you eat and drink slowly. Remember, I can arm you with evidence and knowledge and ideas, but the decision to try and to use the information that you gain to better serve you and your unique and individual IBS is yours and yours alone. Nothing works for everybody, but everything works for somebody. On that note, thank you all so much for watching. As I've said in all of my previous videos in this series, I am so honored and excited to be creating this series for you. So thank you for watching and for commenting and for requesting. It really means the world to me. While this video really ties the last 5 videos into a neat little bow, I do intend on making more videos in this series. I intend to cover IBS and its relationship to mental health, including anxiety, its relationship to sleep, its relationship to exercise. I also want to explore other potential IBS therapies like pharmaceutical treatments. Lincess, Trulance, and Viberzi have all been specifically requested, and fecal transplants and alternative therapies. I also intend to look into the FODMAPs diet for potential IBS symptom management and also explore the parallels between IBS and SIBO. But if there is other IBS related content that you'd like to see in this series, please request it in the comments below. I do try really hard to read and respond to all of my comments. If you found this video helpful, please like it, share it. Don't forget to check me out on Instagram, and finally, please subscribe to my channel for more content not only about pelvic things but also about life things. Thank you again so much for watching. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.